Can we do the beginning one more time? I feel.
Nah, the lighting's bad.
No,
the lighting's different.
Can we just do it one more time?
No, but it's you.
Too many talented artists go unnoticed because they aren't given the platform. 4GOT10 has built the change in that. In this episode, we sit down with Mike and Billy, the minds behind the underground magazine that turns unknown names into global stories. We'll talk DIY culture, building without funding, and how they turn passion into a movement. What's going on, everybody? My name is Miller McCoy, CEO and founder of Limitless MFG. You're listening to a podcast that we don't know the name yet for. The Closet Cast, behind the brand, and who knows what the actual name's going to be. But I've got Mike and Billy here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
My name's Mike Wiseman, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, now living out in Los Angeles, co-founder and CEO of Forgotten Magazine, as well as a creative coordinator over at Def Jam Republic.
Very nice.
So, yeah. And Billy.
And then my name's Billy Slater. I'm okay, cut. No, what? Yeah, I'm the co-founder and oh my god, my mind's gone fucking blank.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and I'm from England. Yeah.
and we've got Billy here. Billy, tell us about yourself.
I'm 25.
Sure.
I'm from England. I moved over here like a year ago. Been grinding on the mag really.
Well, incredible. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Dude, I've gone so red.
Yeah, you get hella pale whenever there's a camera on him.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, so let's jump into it. So the first thing I kind of want to go over is kind of the dual origin story of you guys, right? Chicago meets UK, moves to LA, right? So Mike, you grew up in Chicago, born and raised there. What was that like? And I'm a fellow Midwesterner. I'm from Iowa, but completely different lifestyles. Chicago's the city. Us Iowans like to travel out to Chicago to go hit a big city. Right. But yeah, so tell us about growing up in Chicago and kind of your early creative roots.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, like you said, is like a metropolitan dot in the middle of a bunch of cornfields.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
There's a lot of culture there. It's a very diverse city, segregated as it is, very diverse nonetheless. I think growing up, I was definitely in a bit of a bubble. I went to a private middle school through 8th grade, definitely with a lot of people that looked like me, grew up the same way that I did, etc. And then when high school came around, I made the decision to go public, partially just because they had a good baseball team. And
cool.
Like all the private schools had shitty baseball teams. So I was like, okay, bet. I went to a public school, and that's kind of when I feel like I first really started living in Chicago.
Okay.
That's when I saw people who were trying to make music, saw how much music in particular was touching the city. Just because Chance the Rapper had went to my high school.
Wow.
A lot of like random notable people in the Chicago music scene had come through the Chicago public school system. So there was just kind of like this air of creativity.
Yeah.
Although athletics did dominate most of my childhood. Like I said, I was a baseball player, and I never really thought that the two could coincide, like creativity and athleticism. And I think it was high school is when I really became like an invested fan of music. I started going to a lot of shows. Chicago's a city where there's a lot of concerts if you look for them. And that's kind of when I got exposed to that underground scene, I think. And yeah, I never really took action outside of being a fan, a consumer, until college, which is when things started to move. But like, yeah, that was the origins. I mean, I played a couple instruments. My dad always put me on to like rock music. Classic rock was what I came up on.
Yeah.
A lot of CDs like Bruce Springsteen, R.E.M., Replacements, Rush, all that stuff. And then eventually, once I developed my own taste and started making decisions for myself, had a smartphone to look on SoundCloud and Spotify, that's when I found rap music, I'd say.
Yeah, that's cool that you said, the blend between athleticism and creativity. And like normally, a lot of times they don't mesh, right? But, I work closely with a big musician who used to be a big baseball player turned musician and stuff like that. And I think that there is traits and attributes that, can coincide with each other, right? There's a lot of ball players that, you get dedicated to your craft. You go from losing to winning to training, back to losing to winning to training, right? And it's just a never ending cycle. And that's kind of like the life of a creative as well,
100%.
right? You catch your wins, you try to ride those wins as long as you can. And then there's going to be challenges that you face and you got to keep working through them. And then just, it's just never ending story and a never ending journey.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels there for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Billy, what about you? Your background in UK and your own creative story.
Firstly, that's mad impressive how you can just go on a tangent like that for like 2 minutes straight.
Bro, it's like what I do.
I know, but it's still mad impressive. I'm not the best in front of the camera in it, so you just got to bear with me. But what was the question? Like, how was?
Yeah, what was it like growing up in the UK? You're the first person on this pod that's not from America, right?
Yeah.
I've been to the UK a few times, but
yeah, I mean, I grew up in a tiny town.
Okay,
like tiny, like 10,000 people.
Wow.
So, and it was in like it was like I'm from like the southeast, which is right at the bottom near France. So
wow.
Growing up there, it was like no one really left, no one really like did anything. I mean, people left and did their thing, but like it wasn't in my family like code to like leave. It was very much like that's home base, start a family, have or whatever. But growing up, I used to ski. I used to ski racing, and that's where I thought my life was gonna go until like it got cut short. And then I started to get into art. Started to do art, like probably around, I want to say like 15. Started to do
what
art.
type of art?
A lot of like multimedia. Like I would like sort of play with textures and stuff like that. A lot of resin stuff.
Oh, cool.
Just random stuff that I could.
Just getting creative, getting your hands on this stuff. Yeah.
And then I went to college for a year to do business.
Yeah.
And I was running my own business at the time. Told my parents, I was like, I don't want to leave. Like, I want to like do my own business. And then they gave me like a goal of making a certain amount a month. And it was around Christmas where like sales spike. So
nice.
I managed to like wingle out of college.
Yeah.
And then from there, I just that's been my like start of like my creativeness.
Nice.
Like trying to get out of college, so like going hard with.
Yeah. What was that first business?
It was like I did a bunch of stuff. I did like remakes of like video game cases, like remake of Pokemon cards. I did like big framed pieces.
Yeah.
I just done
so it was also just involving your generalized creativity and your art forms.
I use like some rappers. I use like there's a bunch of art around.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And then that leads me to the next point. How in the world did you two meet? From Chicago, from small town, United Kingdom. Where did the roads converge? How did this happen?
I think Billy addressed that he started doing his creative shit, starting his businesses. And similar to that, when I was in college, I went to study economics at the University of Michigan.
Okay.
Ended up completing the 4 years there. But when I was there, COVID hit the end of my freshman year. Sophomore year, I was living in the fraternity house. My mom's a nurse. They were still partying. I felt like shit because I didn't know what to think during COVID. I was like, damn, my mom's at the hospital. I don't want to be the guy lying to her and being like, oh, like I'm not doing anything and then going out and partying with all my friends. So I spent a lot of that year in my room. And as a result of that, I was online a lot trying to figure out like, okay, I'm really bad at sitting on my ass and just doing nothing. So I knew I needed something to like keep me going. I was like super inactive at the time. I wasn't in the gym. I wasn't doing anything like to better myself. So I was like, I need something to get me out of bed outside of school. And that's when I started doing like really bullshit graphic design. Like
sure.
The most rudimentary, like elementary stuff you've ever seen, but it was an entry point, So I started doing that. I was doing like random cover arts for people, just to make a little scratch on the side, doing fan art of artists I like with to try and boost my page, etc. And through that, I had like no motion on this account, maybe 400 followers. Through that, I found Billy's account at the time. I was like looking for other people, searching hashtags, etc. Ended up finding him, and it was during his like custom Pokemon phase when that was like his main thing. He was doing the resin stuff as well. And I was like, damn, this kid's cool. He's collaborating with a bunch of like smaller like artists or graphic designers on Instagram. I was like, maybe I could finesse a collab with him and mooch some of his exposure. He had like 10,000 at the time on that account.
Come on.
So
Motion.
Like 4 years ago as well. That was serious.
Yeah.
It was fire. And I seen it and I was like, okay, I have to do this. Like he's working with all these artists I've followed. So I sent him a DM, and for whatever reason, like to this day, we don't know what made him respond. I had nothing going on my account, but he ended up responding. We did a deck of, or like 5 Pokemon cards together. We did the Young Thug one that YSL Records reposted. We did a Pierre Bourne one, which didn't do anything. Cardi one didn't do anything. Mac Miller one got a little motion from like fan accounts, and then one of Nardwar and Uzi. And the one of Nardwar and Uzi was the one that got Nardwar's attention. He left a comment on my post with 400 followers. And then DM'd us and asked us to send him the card. And because of that interaction, Nardwar, someone who both of us like very well versed in his media and what we've been watching and consuming it for a while. When he reached out, him and I both kind of looked at each other. He was in UK, I was in Michigan.
Virtually. Yeah.
We virtually looked at each other through the WhatsApp group chat and said, okay, bro, like we need to make something else together. And that was kind of what kickstarted the magazine relationship, was that collaborative project.
Wow. It's so that leads right into the next thing, like the birth of 4GOT10, right? Was that always kind of like I guess what was the thought process of like getting into the magazine then? Right? Like what, you guys get this heat going, right? It's like,
well, I was like, yo, I want to do like a comic book, like a bunch of like iconic scenes that have happened in rap and hip hop, and like just put it into like a little book.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of ideas, and I was like, I showed it around to him after we did this, because he wanted to do something different. So I was like, okay, like we can think of what to do. And I was like, I have this comic book idea. And then Mike was like, I think it was you who was like, why don't we do a magazine instead?
I don't remember who said it, but all I remember is we kept coming up with these ideas, the comic book being the first. That felt so constraining. Like it felt like once you commit to being a comic artist, it's like you're working within this really rigid box.
Yeah. And
we were like, we want something that we can step out of the box and it will still feel like a part of whatever we're building.
Absolutely.
And obviously you can do it, you could get creative, but it's harder to do it with something like a comic book. Not to mention the time commitment it goes to paneling everything, and it's a long process.
Yeah.
Especially for myself at the time, who was going to be assisting in graphic designing, and I'm not a good artist whatsoever. So I was like, this just doesn't feel like it's playing to our strengths.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, we kind of came to the realization of like, we need to play, like I said, to our strengths. Billy, he's an artist, he's a designer, he knows his way around Photoshop, completely self-taught, but he's a fucking wizard with it and has only gotten better over the years. And myself, like, with no formal training in the media industry, I can talk to people.
Right.
Like, that's my strong suit, is like, put me in a room with a rapper from the south side of Chicago who's had a life completely different than mine. The only common thread is we support the same baseball team.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I'll find that bridge and I'll build off of it. And find me a random dude on Wall Street and put me in a room with him, and I'll build that same bridge and find that connection, build on it. And I played to that. I was like, I can talk to people. Let me use the knowledge that I've gained from just being a really, really deep fan of Chicago music.
Yeah.
And find those artists that are going to say yes to an interview with absolutely zero proof of concept. And it's what we did. We started the account. I cold DM, sent the same paragraph to like every single artist in Chicago I could possibly think of. And we got one response, artist by the name of Flex Sinatra. Forever indebted to him for being the anchor of our network.
Yeah.
He agreed to the interviews, just said, let's do it. Interviewed him, and then kind of just used that connection.
Leveraged it to go to the next.
Like I was like, who's your producer? He put me onto a guy named Gold Hayes. Gold Hayes, again, has stayed a part of the Forgotten family for 4 years now. I was like, okay, Hayes, after I interviewed him, I was like, okay, what other artists do you work with? He put me onto a kid named OG Stevo.
Yeah.
Stevo's still going hard. Like, these are all people that when we interview them the first time, that's like, I don't think of it as, okay, that's a stepping stone to the next thing. It's like, no, this is the leverage point of a relationship that we're going to then use to build that relationship, foster that relationship, and then transfer that same energy to all the people that they know that we also want to work with.
That's a beautiful thing too, right? A lot of one of the main way that businesses can thrive, and like the heart of it is through almost like referral base, right? And now you guys that's not necessarily like on the salesy side of things for you guys, right? But it's through the relationship side and being able to have a strong relationship with one person, show that you guys, show them that they're a part of something cool. They're a part of this family and stuff like that. Building and fostering that relationship to then earn their trust, and then in a way have them say, "Oh yeah, well, this guy's really cool too," and I'm sure he'd love to be a part of it, right? And being able to get those relationships to be able to just build off of it, right, and actually be able to make the sort of family, as you just said, right, that's a beautiful thing.
100%. And a point to add there about like those initial connections in Chicago. And mind you, while I was making the connections on the interview side of things, Billy was doing the exact same thing on the graphic design side of things. So he was the one who took his network from those initial pages that he did of like different designers he had collaborated with, et cetera, and kind of brought them over to become a part of the Forgotten family. Diffused Rap, Racketech, there's a ton, SBK Draws, J Draws. There's a lot of amazing graphic designers that Billy had met initially, and then kind of we just built them into the team that we were kind of building at the time. So that's one point. And then as far as Chicago, like I think a really important point is we are two white dudes with a hip hop magazine. And I think that at the very beginning was an interesting hump to get over of like, how are people going to take us seriously if we haven't done anything? Yeah. Right? Like there's zero reason for people to believe that my intentions are pure, et cetera. So that relationship building thing was so crucial of just being authentic and showing up as ourselves, not trying to talk a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way, and really just being me and Billy being Billy and approaching things authentically. Like I remember the text that made me the happiest was Flex sent me a screenshot. He was friends with a really big videographer in Chicago by the name of Aze Productions, who, if you're not familiar with Zay, he shot all the OG Chief Keef videos. He went to grammar school with Lil Durk. He shot for King Louie. He shot for Tato. He shot for Fredo. Like every big rapper out of Chicago in the drill scene has been blessed by his camera lens. Wow. And he was the first guy, him and D Gaines were the first two to really start putting music videos on YouTube, which sounds...
It's a wild sentence, but yeah.
They really were. And when I asked Flex, I was like, yo, can you connect me with Zay? Like, I really want to get a big interview under my belt. And he sent me a screenshot, and it was like a text from him to Zay, and it said, yo, my little white homie with the magazine wants to put you in it. And I was like, yes. Yes. And they see me. And it was cool. Like having that respect is something that I don't take for granted. Yeah. And it's definitely an important part of how we've gone about building relationships for sure.
That's beautiful. And Billy, being able to nurture.
I'm mad impressed. He's so good at this.
You guys should both be impressed with yourselves. I mean, this is awesome. Being able to also nurture and foster a relationship of designers is something that takes incredible amount of skills and relationship building as well. I just know through our friendship and our relationship and stuff like that, you're a happy-go-lucky, you're an amazing people's person, and so I know that your relationship skills are up to at the top of the game as well. And designers and artists are
difficult to work.
They're
with.
Difficult, exactly.
Yeah, they are. But I don't know. I think I have like a soft approach when I when I talk to, or if I want something from somebody, not to sound like manipulative, but like I don't like to be too, put it all on their plate all at once, like someone over here. But like I just feel like I like to let it in slowly, which has its cons, I guess. But no, I just think I'm not the best on on record, but I think what we've done and what we've managed to accomplish is it's been, I don't know.
Oh, it's a fabulous thing.
Yeah, but we've just been learning on the job too.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of them things where it's like either of us went to school to do communications or whatever.
And I think that makes it all the better, right? Like a lot of times when you go into, if you go to school to learn how to become a writer or a journalist or into communications and stuff like that, right? You're given, whether you know it or not, you have restraints, right? You think you know the right way to go about things, and you think you know the right way to go and do things, right? But it's like you learn so much more through the art of play, right? Just getting your feet wet and your hands dirty, jumping into it, being ignorant to what what it is that you're actually doing, right? Like it's same thing with Steve and I over at, on Limitless side. It's like, didn't know what we were doing, right? We just found ourselves in the room with the right folks. And, we kind of knew, like you're saying, how to talk, how to get the talk going and stuff like that. Built a few relationships, had the opportunity, crush it out of the ballpark with those opportunities. And the next thing you know, we're figuring it out as we're going on. Right? It's kind of this similar with what you guys are doing. And now it's to the point where it seems to me like there's almost a formula approach to it, right? That you guys are always featuring a different type of, whether they're hip hop artists or musicians and other sort of artists to graphic artists. You guys' magazines are killer. They're insane. And so do all of the art and stuff like that. Are you the one that's putting together all the different graphic designers that is putting them together? How does
Firstly, I really appreciate all the kind words from you. You know, he said really nice words, but no, I do appreciate it, and we do appreciate it. But yeah, mainly the visual stuff, the pages themselves. A lot of art is outsourced from different creators because we want to put as many like creatives on as possible, but a lot of it is like the art direction is from us.
Yeah. But so there's how many different artists go into making one magazine, let alone the interviews, right? Like on the graphic side, is there just like one person that's whipping up cover to cover? You know?
Nah, there's normally like, I don't even know.
It varies.
Yeah, it does vary. But it's normally a small team. It's not like a crazy like.
But that's the thing is like every single page is independent of one another, and like again, that kind of goes back to like we're just two dudes making what we think a magazine looks like in the way that we think a magazine should be made. Like we don't have like.
Not necessarily. I think that we look at magazines, like we go to magazine stands and look through them, and they're like they're just boring.
They're boring.
They're so boring.
And then you open up your guys' stuff, and it feels like you're a kid watching cartoons again, right? It flows. It just makes sense. It makes you excited. It's playful. It's energetic. You're actually excited to open it up and read through it, right? Like versus going to a magazine stand, it's like, none of this stuff matters.
So much open space. So much like
there's a lot. It's just cookie cutter.
Yeah,
we really wanted to like that naive approach to building a product that you've never built before, where you are so jaded and have no idea what the rules of the industry are. Is almost the most organic because you're going to present yourself most authentically. Like the magazine feels like me and Billy's personalities. Like it feels like, and obviously it's grown and whatever, but like colorful, saturated, popping off the page, almost all over the place, but still has like an organization to it.
Yeah.
So like it's very much indicative of how we carry ourselves in life beyond just the magazine. Like, I don't know. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, because if you actually look through a lot of the magazines, they're color coded.
Oh yeah.
Like when you go through it goes from color to color to color to color, not like harsh.
Yeah.
So,
and then a random white page right here, and then a random orange page right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like a cohesive. Like that's what we try and like have like a cohesive. And then we also like we don't say it, but like we want people to like notice the little. There's Easter eggs all over them, like little things here and there. So find them. Miller will give you a bunch of merch.
Don't take his word for it. No. But you know, so that being said, like, I understand on the magazine side, right? You guys were jaded to it, right? You didn't actually understand the proper industry approach. So then it just kind of made it free flowing and kind of what you guys thought a proper magazine should look like, right? But like, was there something in the music and the art and entertainment industry that you guys felt was kind of missing that made you guys want to start kind of doing this? Or what was it like? What was the real draw towards, let's just like interview a lot of artists and cool creatives and stuff like that? Did you guys want to learn from them? Or
I think it felt like y'all were just playing Minecraft. It felt like if you were strip mining and you found one stray diamond and then you break it and then it's like a pack of like 20 of them.
Yeah.
It's like we're just looking around, and then eventually we found Flex, who felt like a diamond in the rough kind of rapper in Chicago. We both kind of were like, how does nobody know about this guy? His voice is so unique, etc. And then we just kept finding more and more people like that, where we were like, this isn't just like me making it up. This is talent, and no one's paying attention.
Yeah.
And we found that a lot of times in like really weird, dark corners of the industry, like niche parts of it, where it's car crews and takeovers, like a scene that's often misrepresented in media that really is a familial scene, and we wanted to shed a positive light on it, looking at graffiti and looking at that from the viewpoint of it as an art form as opposed to vandalism. That was really cool. Like just finding like people who were underrepresented in like we're still cool to us.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like a lot of times those were my best friends in life are the people that like may not be the popular kid, but you find that one thing about them that like you're like that's dope.
awesome. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's beautiful. In a sense, right? Like for the music industry folks out there, these are basically A&Rs for the generalized culture of the entertainment, art, and music
100%,
space,
100%.
without actually doing the back end of what an A&R is actually doing, right? You guys are doing it for your own fun and your own gratification and stuff like that. And it's no longer around anymore. But it there used to be a big A&R in the industry who had he used to be an A&R, and then he started working for Spotify, and he would make, it was called like if you listen to Childish Gambino, right? Spotify would have this algorithm inside of it that would be called like the corner of Childish Gambino, right? And then it would be this whole entire endless playlist that would be sounds and similar artists that sound like Childish Gambino, but the song has 100 plays, right? In Spotify had recently just shut it down because it doesn't make them any money, but that's what like a lot of the A&Rs were using for a long time and figuring stuff out like that. And yeah, I think that's
A&Rs are so fugazi anyway.
Payday was found off there, and Rack Baby and stuff like that. They were found off those sort of playlists. But like it's what you guys are doing by being boots on the ground and finding these people and finding things that you guys are, oh, this is so cool and underrepresented, and how aren't you here, right? You're right here, right? But I think that's brilliant. I think that's a beautiful thing that you guys are doing.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. So the next thing I'm going to go into is kind of the art of the issues, or the art of the additions, right? So how do you guys come up with kind of the theme, whether it be from a artistic side or from the actual interview side of who it is that you're going to interview, how you're going to go about them for each new release?
Yeah. You want to start talking about like the artistic side of things?
Yeah, I think that we just like obviously want it to be cohesive, right?
Yeah.
So like the first two weren't cohesive. They were just like a bunch of stuff all together. And then we started to think of like, oh, it'd be cool if like the whole thing was one, like the front cover, all the inside and the back was like one sort of theme.
Yeah. These are growing and learning things that you're doing because you're ignorant to the industry and you're jaded to it. And you don't know what's going on. And so you just have to play to figure it out.
Yeah.
So like we started to like play around, and we did like a
carnival.
Yeah, carnival themed, like a desert themed. Our next one's gonna be ice themed.
Okay.
So like the front cover's gonna be like all icy. Have some stuff props around it. All the inside's gonna be sort of ice tones, cold.
Yeah.
Frozen text, or just like a bunch of just frozen themed stuff. But I think it was just we wanted to just be different.
Yeah.
Look at a magazine, like the front cover's one, the back cover's not an advert, and it's just like we just wanted to be
Damn, look at the hummingbird.
Beautiful.
Fire. Sorry, I got distracted. But no, like Billy was saying, that's step one is coming up with the visual theme, and then from there we kind of build out around it. Not necessarily like whose stories align with the visual theme, because the theme is largely visual. Like it doesn't really affect like the tone of interviews and everything else. But I think as far as finding people and filling it out, like we just want a healthy, diverse mix of types of people, types of industries that those people are in, location based. Like we love international interviews. It's awesome to get perspectives from like in this last one, we had a fashion designer from Italy, and he talked about the art of building a brand in Milan and all these like cool ass fabrics that he was working with, and he does all his shit just in Italy. Like everything's made, produced
in Italy,
and sewn in Italy, even though it's not obviously not the cheapest option to do that, but it's like a pride thing. And like just learning about different cultures is cool, especially as someone who hasn't traveled internationally that much. So I love getting insight into that, especially like the hip hop scene. Like we had an artist from Japan, Tade Dust, in the last one, and he kind of gave me the visibility into like a culture where hip hop is viewed totally differently than it is here. So it's cool to do that. And I think that there really is no rule book of like, oh, we need this many artists and they need to have this many followers or this many monthly listeners. It's like, nah, bro. Like, it could be the biggest artist you've heard of, or it could be some random kid that we just fucked with when we ran into him in the street.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, it really does vary. And we want them to just be cool, authentic people who are just chasing their dreams, because
Beautiful.
they're the ones who are going to be authentic in the interview. They're the ones who are going to care about someone going out of their way to do some shit like this. They're the ones who 10 years down the line, when they're on stage getting their Grammy, is going to be like, you know what? Those are the two kids right there that saw it when there was nobody else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's an incredible thing. And again, I think that goes into the origins of how this all started. It was an organic thing, right? In the purest form. There is no rhyme or reason or sure, from an artistic standpoint, there's a level of structure there, right? You come up with the theme in it. I think a lot of, I was listening to something the other day on like YouTubers and how they create their videos, right? They'll throw 100 ideas that are all okay ideas, and then they'll go through and they'll build out the thumbnails for all the ideas first. And then they say, this is the best thumbnail. This is the video I'm going to make. Right. And so it starts with that artistic direction first, and then everything else is just kind of natural flowing. Right. And yeah, I think that's an awesome approach.
Hell yeah.
That is a good approach.
Yeah. But is there a favorite issue or maybe a favorite moment or anything like that you guys have had and forgotten?
Yeah, I've got a favorite issue. So like when we did season 1, we was on volume 3. Sold out so quick. I didn't even realize. It was in the morning.
Like, it made no sense how many magazines we sold that day. Like, I think first day.
Well, it was just to the point where it's like,
it made no sense.
Yeah. I know, even still to this day, it's just like, I don't know how that happened.
Like, scale wise, if we had the same percentage of people buying the magazine compared to followers then,
we'd be on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, we'd be on a different podcast right now. Shit. Nah, I'm playing. But yeah, that one was cool for like the moment. But I think that every magazine rollout that we do feels more legit.
Yeah.
Like, for this last one was the first time we had like a proper built out photo shoot for the cover. We rented a studio. We had a makeup artist. We had 2 stylists. We had BTS people. We had a photographer. We had a lighting guy. Like, we had, like, I work on the major label side, so I have the visibility to how these big photo shoots go down. And I'm like, damn, it'd be cool to do that for my own shit one day, because now I know all the fucking pieces that go into it.
Right.
And then we did it, and it was like, it was so fucking cool. We got to involve all of our homies. Like, yeah, I'm saying the stylist, but like, the stylist is my homie Roy, who's like, not just my homie, he's also fucking incredible at what he does, but it's like great to have him there. The photographer was one of my close friends. Photographer Jake Zayudis. Lighting guy was his friend. Fucking BTS guy was a kid that's come to all of our shoots. Like, it's just, we always love to keep it in the family.
Dylan,
and like,
it's incredible.
Shout out to Dylan.
Yeah. We just love to make every project should feel like a reunion almost. Like, I remember him from this and him from that. And then, so it's been really cool, especially like with models and too for our shoots. People love to like, oh, you've already modeled, you can't do it again. You've already been on our page. It's like, nah, like we want all of our
come
homies to
back. Please, you were great. Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. The next thing is kind of going to be the impact and industry insight, right? So, Forgotten is about more than the hype, like you're saying, right? It doesn't matter about as long as you're a cool creator, right? You're doing some incredible stuff. It doesn't matter about the numbers behind you or the people behind you or anything like that, right? You guys are more than hype. You guys are archivers of the now, almost, right? These print issue magazines can live on forever, right? And so it's being able to capture what's going on in the industry that you guys are thinking is unique, what you guys are thinking is cool, and being able to put that into something that is, a different sort of physical medium, right? And being able to preserve that, right? I think that's an amazing thing. So what does Forgotten represent in culture, I guess, right? Like, what is it?
I would answer it.
All right, I'll do it. I'll take this one. To me, Forgotten represents almost like a creative hub, is how I see it. In the culture, like especially in LA, you can get lost really easily out here. You can get content really easily out here. And Forgotten to me is a place to come back to be surrounded by hustlers, surrounded by people just trying to see their dreams through. And like, in turn, that motivates me to keep wanting to go harder. Like I'm on FaceTimes every day with people we've interviewed in the magazine, just checking in and seeing what they're up to. And that motivates me. Like today, like this jeweler that we've interviewed, a guy by the name of NWM Jewelry out of Louisville, Kentucky. He did a set of grills for us for the psychedelic edition, or Back to the Future edition, excuse me. And he, fuck you. He posted some shit on Instagram today, and it was like, damn, every time I post, people unfollow me, like a struggle that everyone goes through.
Yeah.
But I stood up, I was like, bro, like, you're doing your thing. Like, you were here when we interviewed you, now you're here. Like, just being able to check back in with people, I think is a big part of what it means. And for the industry at large, I think it's just like you said, it's a capsule of the now. We're just two young kids in LA finding our way through it, meeting people, being outside, and we're featuring the people that we see at the forefront of that movement. And just being able to like, what's it? A rising tide raises all boats or some shit. Yeah. It's essentially that, like, someone in the circle whether it be us with the magazine, whether it be artists that we support wholeheartedly, like that tide's going to rise one way or another, and we're all going to eat because of it. And to me, that's what the industry needs, is just that feeling of togetherness, that feeling of people wanting to help people without ulterior motives, and really just doing it for the love of the game and for the love of making cool shit. That's why we do physical stuff, is because you go hold it and be like, whoa,
it's real, it's tangible.
This is cool. Yeah. You know, like I think that there's such a lack of that nowadays. And obviously with the clothes you have it, but I think that everything being so digital, to me, like just going against the grain has been so meaningful, because it just feels different.
And everybody forever says, "Oh, magazine's dead," right? Like, but you guys are out here trying to revive something that is apparently dead, right? And you guys are season 1, edition 3, right? You guys are blown away about the support and everything like that, right? Like it sure, maybe the classic magazine stand, tabloid-esque magazine, People magazine is sure that shit's out, right? But there's a way to revitalize this by breaking down the norms, the barriers and stuff like that, and actually doing interesting, cool shit. You know,
I think vinyls is like a perfect example.
Film photography too.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like people almost want to have like something that's cool on their wall or like on their table. And I think like
we got 3 of them on our
we try our hardest to like have people be like, oh, that would be sick to have around.
Yeah. And Mike, a lot of what you were saying too, right? I think it falls back on your relationship side, right? Like being able to make these phone calls because you are building an actual personal relationship with these people, right? And caring about them and being there for them and learning their story from where they were at when you first met, to keeping up with them and seeing where they are a day, a year, however long in the future from now, right? And not just being an authentic version of you and carrying that with you, right? I think that's going to make so many waves, right? That the rising tide, right? Like it's going to be so beneficial.
Hell yeah. And one thing I do want to add too is like, we're talking a lot about physical magazines, and yes, that is the confines of in which we are working right now. But like, especially over this last year, expansion, scalability has been like the main
Got that new website now, man.
I mean, we got a new website, but that's minor. That project was not minor. Shout out to my boy Sebastian, working his ass off in Denmark. But he's together we've just been thinking of like, how can we build? What is it that we can do? And like, we have so many ideas. When I tell you, we've been iterating and prototyping and doing a whole bunch of shit on the physical side still. And still within the box of magazines per se, like we've just been thinking of a lot of stuff. And
you guys gonna do your own album or something like that?
I don't want to get into any specific.
I want to do a little freestyle, if that's all right.
But I just want to say, because like we're talking a lot about what we have done and what we're doing right now, but I want to emphasize that like that does not dictate where we're going.
Yeah.
While magazines will always be a central part of Forgotten, like I have so many things that I want to do. Billy has so many things that he wants to do, and like we have so many things we want to do together, and like it's just, I don't know how we're going to get there. Just the same way I had no idea how we were going to both move to LA, but we're going to figure it out. And one day at a time, just DIY it and move on and do some new shit the next day and do rinse and repeat, bro.
As long as you never never quit, never give up. You can never fail, right? Like the more you can delay that gratification, right? The more successful anything and everything's going to be, right? So there's no doubt in my mind that you guys aren't going to get to those points that you're talking about, and thinking of in the future. Like it's, as long as you can understand, have a dream, make a plan, work the plan.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we've been talking like a lot about our like limitless sort of bag recently. Like we want to get into like manufacturing for even you guys. Like you guys have a lookbook.
No. He's being so dead at it.
Yeah,
but not close. We're talking about like bringing physical media into other spaces.
Yeah.
So like artists have an album come out and then they have like some physical that comes out and they can read about the process of what happened inside the.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that actually. No, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
So like we're working with this one guy called Oblay.
Okay.
His album's coming out in a few months,
Mhm.
couple months, and he's doing like a beginning to the end of how the project come about, who's on it, stuff like that. And we want to bring that to like,
very cool.
Like a limitless type of vibe.
Yeah.
Just in terms of servicing other people, like we've serviced ourselves for so long, and it's like, okay, this is our proof of concept. Now people can come to us and be like, oh, this isn't just bullshit. Like they have X amount of magazines under their belt, and now we're like, okay, Oblay, you've got this project, X amount of features, let's get into it. And then we've been going page by page for each song, and I did an interview with him strictly about the project, and we have quotes for every song and the process and the routine and all these like cool little things that fans of him will want to dive into. We've got other stuff with other artists as well that we're doing, more focused on albums and projects. But as Billy was saying, we want to get into, say a designer wants to do a lookbook, like having that as an option of people can come to us and our design team will handle it front to back. Manufacturing will handle front to back. So yeah, just really trying to get into that space. We want to do a lot of one-off projects of like just experimental uses of the medium of physical magazines and figuring out how to treat it as an art form. And maybe it's not something that could be manufactured at scale, but it's something we can make, him and I, with our own two hands.
Crazy experience.
Exactly.
I've seen that you just got the Japanese book
Yeah,
press.
but today I put down my
bookbinder.
first, what was it? A French leap stitch, I think was the name of it. First time binding pages was today. It was really cool. And then I went to Michael's and got a lot more materials to then after this go back tonight and figure it out. I just want to be able to have an idea for a magazine, like a simple creative idea, and then be able with my own two hands under my own roof, be able to take it from start to finish. Vertical integration is the key to any successful big company. And I know down the line, we're going to have our own print shop. We're going to have our own warehouse, etc. But right now we got to do it the ratchet way.
You got to make it.
Exactly.
You just got to make it happen.
My house looks fucking insane right now. I've got printers up the wazoo.
Mine's clean.
I've got laser cutters. I've got everything I'm just trying to figure out how I can do it myself.
Yeah.
And how we can do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And really just vertically integrate this and keep it all in the family.
Yeah.
That's it.
But we also like we've got such a vast network now. We've had this conversation where we'd love to be like a sort of an art hub, or so like we can like have an artist come on board. We can take them through the stages of like a music video, a rollout, this and that. And we're starting to get into that a little bit. I'm directing my first music video in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, in Big Bear.
Are you able to say in Big Bear?
Yeah.
Big Bear's a beautiful place.
sick.
Are you able to say the artist's name?
Yeah, his name's called Trent Josiah.
Very nice.
Yeah, so we're doing his music video in Big Bear. It's like a horror theme
Yeah.
in the woods.
So the idea is maybe, down the line, turning Forgotten into a like multidisciplinary creative studio.
like
That's kind of what it already is to an extent. We just we haven't branded ourselves as that yet. We kind of just do all these random side projects because we love the people we work with and we want to help out. Like, I don't call myself a videographer, but I've shot multiple
You're doing
videos with
videos.
people, and like I just love learning and I love creating and walking away from a project and not seeing it as, oh, this is something I got to slave over and edit till 3 a.m. It's something you want to slave over and edit it until 3 a.m. And then you finish it and you look at it and you play it back and you're like, we just made that. Like, fuck what anybody else says. We did that.
Yeah.
And
nobody can take those things away from you. Those are your own crowns.
The more stuff we learn and the more like insight you get is just like, you realize you can do it.
Yeah.
Like you can, like these labels.
Oh, it's dog shit,
slow.
Billy.
It's so slow.
Well, it's so slow because there's so much, at the end of the day, there's so many politics and if you think of if you're using the label terms, right? Like there's 100 hands in the pockets of one thing, right? And so it's like, it's got to go through all of these different departments and all of these different people. And it's like, I'll go back to the videography
Uniport.
thing. Yeah, yes, Uniport.
You
Most stupid bullshit I've ever. I've removed it from my. You saw my computer.
Yeah.
I removed it from my hot tabs. I was just like, I'm not going to use this. Like, this is. If you want the businessman, just email me or call me or whatever. Like, I'm not. Yeah. So, there's so many hands that are inside of such one pocket, and at the end of the day, too, that's what always ends up screwing over the artist too, is because they think that they're getting into something good. They think that they're getting into something exciting and stuff like that. And like, sure, at face value, I guess it is, but like, you don't need all of that. And in fact, I think most of it's overkill, and it's the last thing that you do need, right? Like, all you need is a couple of smart folks on your side, and you can figure out how to do anything.
Yeah, shouts out to all my independent artists that are making shit shake and shooting movies. Oblé Reed is my top example.
Yeah.
That man.
Gooner.
Like
Gooner.
Nah. No Oblé slander on the podcast. That man can chef with a $0 budget off the strength of his relationships, off of the talent. Like he's
shit on people who've got labels. That's the craziest thing.
He's like,
that's the name
of
the game.
His flowers. Like, so many people are like that, and those are the people we want to find, because they're gonna get that recognition eventually. Like, people are gonna see it, and they're gonna already think they have this motion when in reality they're creating those waves themselves. And like, I always go back to like a moment where I was coming back from the studio on the south side of Chicago, back up north to my house. Like I said before, Chicago's a very segregated city. My parents rarely ever go to the south side.
Yeah.
And for me to go to the south side, they see it as sacrilegious or whatever the fuck. I don't know. But I remember my dad asking me like what I was doing late at night on that street, when I was coming back. And I was with this artist, Kato, that I love. Shout out Kato. Latino artist from Chicago. Unbelievable talent. And he texted me, he's like, why are you in the studio? I'm like, bro, like, when this guy finally gets the recognition, he's going to remember Mike was there. He's going to remember that I came down to a neighborhood that I've never been to before and sat there comfortably, didn't speak out of turn, didn't do anything crazy, and just was there out of respect to show face, to be there for him in that moment, because I know a lot of other people are going to come saying, oh, I was a fan since then. I loved you since da-da-da. That's what happens with fame. But who was really in the
Who's
studio?
there?
Exactly. So I always go back to that. And that's exactly what I told my dad. I was like, trust me, this will pay off 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line. Whenever it may be, is going to pay off. And those are the relationships that we're building. Like, everybody who's worked with us will attest to that. And everyone who we continue to work with will attest to that.
That's a beautiful thing, guys.
Hopefully.
Unless he fucks it up.
Except from that one dude with the fluffy.
Oh, yeah, we fucked up the spelling of his company on his page, and then he asked us not to print it, but we had already put in the bulk print, and then it just went out. We were like, my bad, big bro. If you're out there, bro, I'm sorry. It's all love.
Shit happens, we're humans, right?
My bad. Yeah. And that was season 1, volume 3. That was the big one, too.
Oh.
Shit.
Well, that's incredible. You guys got any lessons, advice for the next wave, for the next people coming up, for the type of people you guys like to find and interview? Right? Is there anything that you guys have learned in your journey so far? I think you guys have told a lot of knowledge here already, from just having to figure things out, not being forced to think that you have to be inside of you don't have to go to communication school or anything like that to make your own magazine and be in the communications industry. Yeah. You don't have to be from the same neighborhoods and the same lifestyle to be able to go build those relationships, right? Like, I think that there's been a lot of really cool stuff here, but any sort of other advice?
I think it's great to get inspiration from everything and anything, but like, remember to stay authentic to like what you got going on. And one thing I've learned since moving to America and like trying to do this magazine thing, it's like the end goal is cool and like it's important to have an end goal, but like when you like are present and you realize it's about the people around you, it's about like who you're doing it with, and like the smiles that are come along the way. That's the important part. I think having it, being able to talk to him, or like, link up with whoever, just having them people around you that you around, make that end goal like better, I guess.
Yeah. I think adding on to that, just do everything with the people you love. Like, don't work with people because you think you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah.
Work with people because they're good people, because they bring something to the table that isn't just a number or a follower count or a repost. Like, work with people who genuinely care about their craft, and the right people will find you. Like, relationships can't be forced, but you need to force yourself to put yourself in positions to make them. You know what I mean? You need to go to the events. You need to pop out. I call myself an extroverted introvert, because when I'm in like a big crowd of people that I don't know, I shell up. I don't talk to people. But as soon as I'm surrounded by people that I love, like, I'm okay opening up. I could talk fine. Like, it's just like, that's what I try and manifest for myself, is just being surrounded by like-minded individuals that really do hustle and really do want this shit. So I think that my advice is to find your circle, find those people, and just keep creating. Like, just don't. It's so clear. Every advice that you give at the end of a podcast has to be cliche. It's a rule. So just keep hustling, keep doing your thing, and understand that it'll work out one way or a fucking other. Yeah. You know, if you don't stop.
So just enjoy your time, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't imagine what.
I work in office jobs.
Well, on that note, folks, we're going to cut it. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you go check out Mike and Billy, Forgotten Mag. Like, comment, share, subscribe.
All that.
Can we do the beginning one more time? I feel sick.
Nah, the lighting's bad.
No,
the lighting's different.
Can we just do it one more time?
No, but it's you.
Cut it.